I think in HR, we all have that person that kind of showed us what not to do.
We all have a lot going on at home. There's a lot going on in the world.
We all bring our whole selves to work. And so being aware of that.
The key to juggling is to know that some of the balls that you have in the air are made of plastic and some are made of glass.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Talent Talk. I'm Becca O'Toole, your host for today. And I am excited to bring a conversation with Adair Minteer, and she is a senior HR business partner in the manufacturing space. I am so excited to share our conversation. Would you like to say a quick introduction?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Becca. I'm currently a senior HR business partner, as you said, for a pretty large manufacturing and aviation company. I'm happy to be here and just share a little bit more as to how I got to where I am today.
Thank you so much. That's great. Can you tell us about one pivotal moment in your career that you would say shaped how you show up as an HR leader?
Absolutely. It was in the beginning of my career where I had an HR rep who wasn't very friendly or approachable. And I was still early on in my career deciding, what specialty I wanted to go into. And I used that as my diving board into what I do now. And, I just decided I had a blend of sales and recruiting and HR experience. And I wanted to be someone that broke down barriers, right? I wanted to be an open door professional, not one that had the closed door and I only work in payroll and spreadsheets mentality, right? So I want to be the HR representative that helps you find a solution together, what's best for the people and what's best for the business, right? And so utilizing that horrible experience in the beginning of my career to really be the voice for employees and to be an approachable HR leader has really shaped how I approach situations and has helped me recenter around the fact of, okay, but is this a good support system for people? Is this how you would want someone to respond? And that's really made me, I think, a better HR person and leader overall.
I think something you said to me before is, we all bring our whole selves to work. And so being aware of that and having kind of sensitivity around that and just being humans, right? When we kind of step into our business goals, right? We still are individuals that have things that influence and impact us outside of the office, but we bring it to the office. And so I'm sure your teams
Absolutely.
have greatly appreciated that your doors is truly open and you come to every conversation kind of as a human first, right? And a business partner second. How do you lead your kind of more junior HR team in that way? What are some tips or things that you share with them to kind of implement that whole human-centric approach to their work?
Absolutely. I mean, I say related to yourself, right? Not every day is going to be a 100% wonderful day, right? We can't all be positive polys every single day. So remember that with your employees. We all have a lot going on at home. There's a lot going on in the world. So approaching each situation with a lot of sensitivity and also professionalism, making sure that you leave that conversation. You did the best that you could, and also you treated them the best as you could as well, right? Because we're human resources and we don't take that title lightly. So making sure that those interactions are bringing our best selves to work and understanding that they're bringing their full selves to work as well.
It's interesting, right? I think in HR, we all have that person that kind of showed us what not to do. And oftentimes that's the development that you get on the job, right? Is like, that didn't feel good for me. So I'm going to do it differently for those moving forward. You and I are both working parents, and we both kind of experienced being working parent or caregiver in the manufacturing world. Tell me a little bit about how you find balance in that. I mean, I almost want to put balance in air quotes because it's sometimes feels like a myth, right? But what does that look like for you? And how do you achieve maybe something that kind of closer resembles balance in your work?
Sure. I've read a quote recently. I think it was from Nora Roberts, the author, and someone asked her, how do you balance your writing with your kids? And she didn't say balance. She said juggling, like you mentioned. And she said, the key to juggling is to know that some of the balls that you have in the air are made of plastic and some are made of glass. So if you drop a plastic ball, it's going to bounce. No harm done. If you drop a glass ball, it shatters. So you really have to know which balls are glass and which are plastic and kind of prioritize catching the glass ones. Those are those big moments. And, I do my best to not miss those. But really, the point is the kid stuff, the family stuff, those are the glass balls. And some of them are plastic, right? Sometimes I have to catch a glass work ball, like a very important deadline, and I have to drop a plastic family one. What do I mean by that? Plastic balls are like keeping a really clean house, making a full meal every single night, those pieces. Whereas glass balls are making sure that mental and physical health is there and being present with your kids after you pick them up from school or daycare. And, I'm very blessed to have a very involved husband who has flexibility in his job too. And I don't take that lightly. Having flexibility and understanding in both of our roles in our careers has made us more present as parents, and made us a better team so we can both juggle the right amount of plastic and glass balls. So.
It really does take a village, it absolutely does. I think that's great. And I think it's a helpful exercise to kind of assess what are the glass balls, what are the plastic balls, and how do we have to reprioritize and shuffle almost day to day in a lot of places, right? I'm curious, you've had a really wide berth of experience in different industries and environments. And, what do you think businesses are doing or maybe doing well to kind of create a little bit more accessibility to working parents or to create a little bit more of a friendly environment for working parents?
Yeah, I think companies are slowly getting there. I think they're expanding their flexibility. They're understanding that remote work is the way of the future. We all did it during COVID, and there was a lot of good things that came from that. So now I think people are trying to find, we keep saying balance, but balance within the workspace. And I think aligning on the benefits side, right? Promoting more of those EAP items and making sure that employees put themselves, their mental health and their family health first, so they can be, like we said, bring their full selves to work. I think they're doing better at that, but really implementing more, paid parental leave is really important and crucial, in finding, adjustability and flexibility with their team. I mean, my company does a great job of providing that. And I think slowly but surely they're getting there, but we still have a really long way to go.
Yeah. I think especially with some of those production or shop floor employees, even sharing the benefits that are available, sometimes they're not checking an email every single day, right? What are some of the mechanisms or ways that your teams have communicated effectively with production floor employees?
Absolutely. I think our leaders do a very good job of communicating on the floor and in person. We take a lot of time and effort to pour into our leaders and make sure that they're trained and understand any changes that happen with our benefits. Like our EAP, we've got 6 free sessions a year, and we increase that as much as we can, and making sure that our employees understand that that's not just a negative that we use if you need it, right? That's something we promote for you and your family members. So I think ultimately, like you said, our manufacturing team, they're not on their phones, they're on the floor building the product. So we have to make sure our leaders get in front of them and we keep those consistent touch points. So with, monthly one-on-ones, things like that, I think that's helping us really get the message across. And then our marketing has really increased as well.
Internal marketing. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
I love that. You don't often hear that considered marketing. I love that change of tone, right? Often it's internal comms or things like that. And it's what it is, though. You're really showcasing and sharing some of the need and benefits that your team has invested in bringing to this organization. So I think that is an important switch. I'm curious, from your people strategy perspective, is there kind of one tip or trick or strategy that you believe every HR leader should implement regardless of industry?
Yeah, it's a tough question. It's really hard
Right.
for
Well,
me to pick one,
secret.
right? I mean, I would probably say it's close between an employee balancing and prioritizing the employee experience, but also strategic workforce planning. If I had to lean, I'd probably lean towards strategic workforce planning. I think that's really the way of the future. I mean, you can't really see where you're going without understanding who are the people you have on your bench strength. And are they in the right roles, right? So then we can anticipate some of those talent gaps and make sure that we're aligning our overall strategy with the business goals. So then we can be more proactive on the HR side, and then our leadership team can too. So definitely, I think strategic workforce planning is essential to being able to be successful.
I think you nailed it. And I am curious your perspective. Like strategic workforce planning 5 years ago meant what is your 5 year outlook? What is your 10-year outlook? Strategic workforce planning today feels a little bit more volatile. Tell me what about, how far out are you guys really looking, and what other tools or pieces of data are helping you create a robust strategic workforce plan?
Yeah, so I can't speak too much to my particular company, but I think in general, we're really focusing on the now and making sure that we're, like I said, pouring into our current people and our current leaders, but not forgetting the succession plan all the way at the bottom to build all the way to the top, right? All of those roles are important. We've got a lot of different training tools and people that work for us that do help. But I think just making sure you're not forgetting that there's a succession plan in every role and making sure that you have the bench strength, both from a recruiting perspective and an internal promotion perspective.
Right. You got to be moving people up into something bigger and better, right? From the employee engagement standpoint, and obviously from your growth standpoint. But then how are you generating kind of new talent and culture of learning from the outset? All right. Last
Absolutely.
question for you. Tell me what metrics or indicators do you use to evaluate whether workforce development strategy is actually working?
So I think it's a blend. I think everybody wants to jump to, quantitative metrics. What are your numbers? But I think it needs to be kind of a blend of qualitative and quantitative metrics. What do I mean by all of that fun verbiage? Performance metrics, right? So our employee ratings, right? Before and after trainings, the quality of work. How strong are we working on the product? Is it working? Are we making errors? And then, looking at talent retention and development. Like we just mentioned, are people moving internally? Are they leaving the organization? Is our retention improving? And then again, back to the succession plan. How strong is our succession plan? What does that look like? And then, finally leaning on learning and engagement. That's really important to make sure that our return on investment on our training programs is working. And then all in all, that gives us the strategic alignment, which is key for all of those roles to really make sense for the organization.
Those are some great, great indicators. And I think actually you broke that down really lovely, right? There's a few kind of tangible things that any organization, regardless of size or really industry, right? Can focus in on some of those key areas and really start tracking those trends and things like that, paying attention to some of those indicators. I think you're right. They will absolutely help drive and inform if your strategy is working and where you need to pivot. So thank you for sharing that. Adair, thank you for your time this morning. I think everyone is going to walk away from this conversation with quite a few little nuggets that they can kind of carry into their work here in HR. And if people want to get in touch with you or pick your brain about some of your expertise and background, how can they reach you?
Absolutely. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. I'm usually on there every day, and I'm happy to help where I can.
I love that. All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining this episode of Talent Talk, and we look forward to having you on a future conversation. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.